I think just because it was kind of a year where we had to create new relationships. I mean, a lot of younger ones were with the older ones, and the coaching staff. I remember at that time wasn't our coaching staff that would be at the tournament. So it was a full different dynamic, and we had to create. I mean, I think also everybody being living in one place all summer long and being together, it created a dynamic where we had to just kind of be a family, and like try to build things together, and then at the end, just kind of wait for like I know Rach back then and Chris had a lot of how do you say it impegnativo. Sorry, my Italian is in my head right now. A lot of they had a lot of things to do with the senior national team, and then they would come and go at the beginning, and then there was also like a lot of national stuff still, things going around. But then eventually when we were all together, like it was day in, day out being coached by like Barhart, Dan Bertalet, Ross, and coaches that are just so passionate. And they were there just to be a part of the team really, and not like as a head coaching staff. Is you don't think of the pressure. You think of the moment. You're in the moment because you trust your coaching staff. You trust your team that you trained to deal with those kind of pressure. In the moment, we were in the moment type of players. I mean, the whole team was just there and focused. The crowd was useful, but at that point in time, you're just there to do what you're born to do, and the things that you were taught since you were a kid. And for me, the pressure, I didn't feel it until after I realized. I said, oh man, I could have been really nervous for that penalty shot. But at the beginning, it's just go in there and finish that game, put that ball in the back of the net, do your job. I know, like, and I know for every of my teammates, even if they played a minute or didn't play a minute, when they went in, everybody knew that they had to go in and do their job. And we were trained all summer like that, mentally and physically pushed to our limits that we didn't think we had. And I mean, the three, like I said, going back to the three coaching staff that did a great job while Pat had to and I had to be away with the senior national team, pushed us to those limits. Those mornings that we didn't want to be at the pool, we had to push through it, but we pushed it together. And that piece made us be able to perform under pressure. And looking back on it, I mean, there was no pressure because we were trained. And then after going back on it now as a senior and older, I would be like, yeah, if I had to redo it, I'd probably be nervous because I'd overthink it. So what I'd have to say to kids out there is just play, because that's what you're at that age to just play and try things and just trust the system and trust the coaching staff and your teammates that you have on the side of you.
Well, we were definitely all individually talented, that's for sure. However, I do believe that one of the biggest things that contributed to our success was just the camaraderie of our team. We all got along, it was a lot of fun. And just talking about the time we spent together, it was a lot of time that we spent together. So, I mean, if we didn't get along, there would have been a lot of problems that arose, but we didn't. We all got along, we were all friends, we all hung out. And we just had a lot of fun together. And I think in the long run, that really helped us towards our success at the World Championship. I don't think any of us really, I don't want to speak for everybody, but for myself, I think we had potential to really compete and do well at the tournament. I don't know if it dawned on any of us that we would actually win the whole thing. But we sure worked hard. And I remember, so we were in the airport on the way from, was it LA to Calgary or Montreal to Calgary. I can't remember where exactly we came from. It might have been from LA, but I remember sitting beside Pat and asking him, how do you think we're going to do? And he looked at me and he's like, Brooke, I think we're going to win the whole thing. I think we're going to win the World Championships. And so then that's when I was like, okay, well, maybe we can do this thing. And so off we went, and here we are, world champions. Yeah, it was mania, that's for sure. It was very interesting. Like I don't honestly, it blended together for me. I don't remember many specifics, but obviously I didn't play in any seconds of that final championship game, including the overtime, and I happened to be the first shooter. So one of the things I do remember was sitting on the bench during the overtime, and it was still tied, and Cecily was sitting beside me, one of my teammates, and she elbowed me. She's like, you better get mentally ready. Like, you're going to be in this shootout if it happens. Like, there's no way. Like, there's no way I'm going to be shooting. So the game ends. Overtime ends. It's still tied. We're going to the shootout. And Pat turns around. He looks at me, makes eye contact, like, get in and warm up. And I was like, what? So I was a bit shocked at that point, but I got in. I warmed up, got ready to go, and I knew that it was all part of my job. One of my biggest jobs was to do the penalty shots. So, yeah, I remember I was the first shooter, and we were on the edge, and it was my turn to go, and I just remember trying to go underwater for as long as possible before I got to the spot where I was supposed to be to shoot, praying to God that I was going to score. But I ended up scoring, and that was that. And then, yeah, I was a bit relieved, and I swam back to the wall and just enjoyed the rest of the shootout.
Well, look, I mean, because I saw what it took to have some success in 1999 with my first junior team. I was feeling good going into this world championship just because of the team atmosphere. It was a real team. I felt I had 13 individuals that accepted, or even 14 with win, but that accepted their individual roles, but really brought a great chemistry when they put all those roles together. And there was a huge amount of support and sacrifice for each other in and out of the water. Like, it felt like a real family that just developed over that cycle and that summer. It was like they knew what each other wanted or how they wanted to pass, and they knew what each other had to do, and they would know how to compliment each other. We were able to have everybody play their roles. They fit into, like, they filled the roles that I felt, or we as a staff felt, needed in order to be successful and hope to win. And we had a great pre-Worlds tournament in the U.S. where I believe we beat the U.S. in one of the games, and then we just went from there. Yeah, well, no, and we did. I mean, Chris obviously in the center, and then Tara was checking the center. I say Chris and Christine Robinson, right? It was either one of them was in set, two real great center forwards on that team. Tara was a shutdown defender, the 2-meter guard, and then Rachel, was the best goalie in my opinion in the world that time. So, that, I mean, makes things a lot easier. But when I say each individual was able to step up, pretty much every game we had a different high scorer as well. And we had about 6 to 7 different scorers each game, except for the final. And that really showed how this was a team. Like, if anybody said between all the difference between all the junior teams that I coached was this one, from player number 1 to player 13, was a true team. Like, really, really complimented each other. And like I said before, played their roles.